Hello, you're watching QPVN News. I'm Anh Tuấn and we keep you up to date with the headlines. Vietnam and Belgium deepen traditional friendship. Vietnam's rescue forces strive to fulfill mission in Myanmar. Vietnam and US tap potential for educational cooperation. At the invitation of President Lương Cường, King Philip and Queen Mathilde of Belgium are paying a state visit to Vietnam from March the 31st to April the 4th, 2025. On April the 1st, after an official welcome in Hanoi, President Lương Cường and King Philip held talks. This is the first Belgian state visit since the two countries established diplomatic ties over 50 years ago, reflecting the Belgian royal family's deep appreciation for Vietnam. Vietnam-Belgium relations have flourished across various sectors, including defense cooperation on unexploded ordnance clearance, military medicine, science and technology, and officer training. At the talks, the two leaders agreed to enhance high-level delegation exchanges through party, state, government, and parliamentary channels, while deepening specialized cooperation. They also committed to effectively implementing the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement, EVFTA, and strengthening agricultural cooperation. President Lương Cường urged Belgium to ratify the EU-Vietnam Investment Protection Agreement, EVIPA, and support lifting the EU's yellow card on Vietnam's seafood exports. He also thanked Belgium's House of Representatives for passing Europe's first resolution supporting Vietnamese Agent Orange victims and called for joint efforts to raise international awareness. On regional and global issues, both sides reaffirmed their commitment to multilateralism and international law, emphasizing the peaceful resolution of EC, aka South China Sea, dispute based on the UN Charter and UNCLOS 1982. After the talks, the two leaders witnessed the signing of cooperation agreements in culture, trade, climate change mitigation, and support for Agent Orange victims. Later, President Lương Cường and his spouse joined King Philip and Queen Mathilde on a visit to Thăng Long Imperial Citadel. On the afternoon of April the 1st, the General Political Department held a conference to summarize the joint production of the TV series Timeless. General Phan Van Giang, Minister of National Defense, attended the event. Senior Lieutenant General Trịnh Văn Quyết, Chairman of the General Political Department, chaired the conference. The event also saw the attendance of General Nguyễn Tân Cương, Chief of the General Staff of the Vietnam People's Army, and Deputy Minister of National Defense, and leaders of the General Staff and General Political Department. 60 episodes of the series Timeless were broadcast on VTV1 from November 2024 to March 2025. This is a special project to celebrate the 80th founding anniversary of the Vietnam People's Army and the 35th anniversary of the Whole People Defense Festive Day. General Phan Van Giang praised the relevant agencies of the General Political Department for their responsibility and effective coordination, making the film a success. The minister requested the General Political Department to continue closely coordinating with Vietnam Television in dissemination of activities about the Vietnam People's Army on television and digital platforms, contributing to spreading the beautiful image of Uncle Ho soldiers in the new era. On April the 1st, upon sharing the monthly meeting of the General Staff, General Nguyễn Tân Cương, Chief of the General Staff of the Vietnam People's Army and Deputy Defense Minister, praised the General Staff for directing the whole military to strictly maintain combat readiness, effectively handle situations, and firmly protect territorial sovereignty. General Nguyễn Tân Cương especially praised the rescue force in Myanmar for actively carrying out their task in challenging and deprived conditions over the past 2 days. Despite the limited facilities, the force still made efforts throughout the night to search for the missing victims. General Nguyễn Tân Cương requested the General Staff to continue directing the whole military to focus on maintaining strict combat readiness while closely monitoring and grasping the situation, especially in key areas. On April the 1st, Senior Lieutenant General Hoàng Xuân Chiến, Deputy Defense Minister, had a meeting with Defense Attaché of China, Laos and Cambodia. At the meeting, Senior Lieutenant General Hoàng Xuân Chiến was delighted to have the first joint meeting with Defense Attaché of 3 countries bordering Vietnam. The Deputy Defense Minister emphasized that regular meetings, exchanges and sharing will contribute to further strengthening defense cooperation between countries. Senior Lieutenant General Hoàng Xuân Chiến hoped that the Defense Attaché would provide timely advice in cooperation areas, contributing to the increasingly close, comprehensive and extensive cooperation between the Ministries of Defense and the militaries of the 4 countries in areas of interest to each side. Now, we bring you the latest updates from QPVN reporter on the activities of the Vietnamese rescue team at the earthquake site in Myanmar. Rescue operations remain extremely challenging due to difficult access, scorching temperature reaching 40 degrees Celsius, and widespread power and communication outages. Yet, with the spirits of solidarity and sharing with Myanmar's great losses, alcohol soldiers are working closely with local authorities and residents to expand search efforts in collapsed structures. At Oat Sarai Theory Hospital in Naypyidaw, local authorities and medical staff reported that around 40 victims remain buried under the rubble. The Vietnamese rescue team quickly responded to search requests and began locating the victims. Our service dogs have detected 1 victim in room 104 and are now searching room 101, where 3 victims are believed to be trapped. By late afternoon, Vietnam's rescue team successfully recovered a 33-year-old female victim from building number 2367 in Balat City residential area, Zabutiri district, Naypyidaw. Meanwhile, at Oat Sarai Theory Hospital, 2 more victims' locations were identified, and joint efforts with Myanmar's rescue teams are underway to retrieve the bodies. The Vietnamese team arrived and quickly located 3 of our missing patients. They had been trapped since the first day of the earthquake. The team acted immediately upon arrival. The victims' families are grateful to see their loved ones one last time. Thank you, Vietnam. As the sun sets, Vietnam's rescue forces continue their relentless efforts amid the massive debris, while the people of Myanmar wait, holding on to even the smallest glimmer of hope. Coming up next, Vietnam and U.S. tap potential for educational cooperation. Creative methods in teaching Vietnamese language abroad. On the morning of April the 1st at the National Economics University, a delegation of more than 40 senior leaders from 21 prestigious universities of the United States had a working session with representatives of Vietnamese universities. The activity is within the framework of the International Academic Partnership Program 2025 in Vietnam towards the 30th anniversary of the normalization of Vietnam-U.S. diplomatic relations 1995-2025. During the working session, representatives of 21 U.S. universities and Vietnamese universities discussed many cooperative contents focusing on the fields of STEM, digital transformation, green transformation, ICT, semiconductor microchips, AI, automation, biotechnology, advanced materials, green energy, international law, agriculture and sustainability, healthcare, education, Southeast Asian and Vietnamese language studies. Forms of cooperation include student and lecturer exchanges, joint training, joint research programs and new fields. In addition, the U.S. side is also considering the expansion of scholarship programs and tuition incentives for Vietnamese students and postgraduates. The IAPP 2025 aims to strategically connect Vietnamese universities with U.S. universities, supporting universities of both sides to build practical, effective, and sustainable cooperation plans, contributing to building a bright future for the bilateral relations. Bai Tu Long Bay in Quảng Ninh province has all the opportunities to develop tourism. However, this place has not been developed commensurate with its potential. Recently, Quảng Ninh province has officially launched new tours in Bai Tu Long Bay while consulting with experts and businesses in the tourism sector. Quảng Ninh province also officially launched 5 tours on Bai Tu Long Bay, from out the port to islands, beaches, caves, and 2 tours connecting Hạ Long Bay, Bai Tu Long Bay. This is a breakthrough, bringing more experiencing tourism products to tourists. Since 2024, Vân Đồn district has actively launched 13 new tourism products while boosting activities to attract more tourists. Developing a fleet of luxury cruise ships and applying an environmentally friendly tourism model will help attract international visitors and develop sustainable tourism, as well as protect the marine ecosystem. In 2022, the Prime Minister issued Decision number 930 approving the project designating the day honouring the Vietnamese language in the overseas Vietnamese communities. In response to the project, a number of programs and activities have been implemented in contribution to preserving the Vietnamese language as well as the Vietnamese culture in Vietnamese communities around the world. In particular, creative methods in teaching Vietnamese have been devised, producing positive results. Every Monday afternoon, after the main school day, these Vietnamese children in Australia eagerly come to this class to learn Vietnamese. With the desire to further spread the spirit of learning Vietnamese and preserving their mother tongue in the host country, what Dr. Vân, the school's principal, always worries about is how to make the curriculum more attractive to children. I think the curriculum must be attractive and interesting. Teachers must be good at teaching for little children. If they are not qualified enough or not passionate about this job, the children will soon get bored. Preserving the Vietnamese language for young generations of Vietnamese living abroad is also an investment in the future, creating a sense of connection with Vietnam among them. However, the point is how to make learning Vietnamese interesting and attractive to children, as well as flexible to suit their study and living schedules. First, it is the living environment. Children live and study in foreign countries, which is difficult for them to practice using Vietnamese regularly. Then, the activeness of the learning program is another issue to be concerned. Currently, on the media and digital platforms, there are many entertainment programs and games that attract children more. Online learning through software that suits the tastes of children and AI applications are among teaching methods that have been researched and applied in Vietnamese classes for children of Vietnamese origin in many countries, aiming to spread Vietnamese to young generations, people born and raised abroad. We are planning to use artificial intelligence to recognize voices as well as correct the pronunciation for children in Australia when they speak Vietnamese. It can even encourage them to speak Vietnamese in same accent to their parents. We have launched an online teaching program called I Learn Vietnamese. The program not only teaches Vietnamese, but teaches Vietnamese through another language. For example, children in the UK will learn Vietnamese through English. We have launched 10 versions of languages during this program. At Cây Vietnamese language schools in Japan, one of the typical models for teaching and learning Vietnamese in the overseas Vietnamese community, in addition to classroom lessons, there are 5 online lessons per week, providing children with full experiences in the Vietnamese.
thì hầu hết các gia đình Việt Nam.
Almost all Vietnamese parents here really want their children to be able to use the Vietnamese language in order to communicate with their grandparents and parents when they are at home. That is why we came up with the idea of teaching Vietnamese to give children complete and accurate knowledge about Vietnamese. With more than 6 million Vietnamese people living and working in over 130 countries and territories, Vietnamese is the sacred thread connecting children living abroad with their homeland, cultural traditions and history of the country. Preserving the Vietnamese language is also preserving and spreading Vietnamese cultural values globally.
This is the end of the QPVN News today. Remember to watch our news again at qpvn.vn. Thank you for watching and goodbye for now.